Amaze balls.
I know. You are absolutely gorgeous. I was looking, I was like, okay, I know you did fitness modeling, and I was like, get it. Because
Hey,
if I
yeah.
was on a yacht looking like that good, I'd be in a bikini all day long.
Oh my God, I have so many questions for you, and I'm so glad that you're here because oh my God. Oh my God. Okay. So, and I apologize that I was late
No
because
worries.
my stepdaughter had her birthday party tonight with all of her friends, and they were doing an escape room. Now she's turning 14, so all of her friends they're all eighth graders. And the escape room people are like, we just set up this new room that we're going to be doing at a middle school that's going to incorporate some stuff, but I need beta testers for it. Would you guys be interested in doing these extra rooms? And it was based on like the 7th grade standardized testing. And so they were like the perfect focus group for it. So they had to do that. So that's why I was late. So I apologize.
Nice.
A bunch of 8th
Yeah,
graders
no
are very, very happy.
worries.
In any case, welcome to the broadcast. Tonight we have with us Miss Pamela Jean Miller, who,
Thank you.
yes, and we're very excited because she has done two, right?
Yeah.
Two charters on Below Deck, regular Below Deck and Med. And we have so many questions for her. We're just going to jump into it.
Yeah,
Sound
I'm
good?
ready. Yeah, let's do
Ready. Okay, well, let's start chronologically. So we'll start with your first cruise, right? So you went on, so this was season 3,
Yes.
and it was episode,
Was it? We've been watching so much Below Deck.
yeah, but we had it.
It was episode 3, I think.
I
Yes,
think we're
episode 3.
later in this. Oh yeah, it's
Because
pretty early because we have Chef Leon, but I could not tell you off the top of
no,
my
it wasn't. You didn't have Chef Leon. That was
Yeah,
the
we
day he
did.
was gone. He
No,
left
we
that
had
day.
Chef Leon.
Yeah, it was late because they had Rocky.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but it was when he had left because they just flashed back, right? Because
That's my husband's episode. My
okay,
husband's episode is
because they
the
okay. So I was watching the Med season 1, your episode on Med season, and they were flashing back to your first one, and they were showing the scene where Rocky was putting the grenadine on the oysters.
That's because my husband was on that episode.
Oh, okay. So this is what I'm really excited about. So
Which I saw. I've been binging Below Deck for like a week straight. It's not healthy.
It's
It's
been
not
more
healthy.
than a week straight for me. It's
Yeah.
been really unhealthy. Okay, so your first charter, you were on episode 3, and we called it the tap out guys. So
Yeah.
maybe you can be a little bit more detailed on who are these people. What, you were not the primary on this charter, but tell us how that came about. Who are your friends, and how you ended up on Below Deck the first time.
Yeah. So I modeled back in the day when I was like 20 for Tap Out, like 20 to 22 for Tap Out. So they were technically my bosses. And I found out maybe possibly a week before I got a call saying, like we're doing Below Deck. We have a space for one extra person, and we're trying to figure out who would get along with us, but more importantly, our wives. And we thought of you. So so I got the call, and it was one of those things where I still had to technically like submit stuff for casting to approve me to go on with them. But it was one of those things where they're like, so do you have anything next week? And I'm like looking at my calendar that's full. No, I'm completely free. Yeah, I can do that. So it was super last minute. I lucked out because my house had gotten broken into a week prior. So if my passport was stolen, there would have been no way that I would have been able to go. So I'm very fortunate in that aspect that they didn't steal my passport.
Wow.
But yeah, went on with them and their wives, and then got off the boat and met my husband.
Yeah, well, okay. We have to get to that because you and your now husband weren't married at the time, went on the Med season, and that was a celebration. So we need to back up though before that happens, because that you were getting off the boat when you met him, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, first off, who needs like The Bachelor or any of those Love is Blind when you've got Below Deck? You can meet your husband.
Who knew?
Well,
Yeah.
and you know what's funny is, okay, so this is the second podcast I've ever been on talking about it, which I always think it's funny because I think like this is such a, not saying because it's me, but even in general, if it was anybody,
It's a fantastic story.
such a cool story.
Yeah.
So this second time I talked about it, the first time was 2 days ago, literally 2 days ago on Brandy Glanville's podcast.
Oh, wow.
Love Brandy.
This story has never been told because it seems like nobody's interested in it at all, especially not Bravo. And I just think it's so funny because I'm like, you guys would pay to film something like this, yet here we are.
Okay. Well, before then we get into all the behind the scenes and the other nitpicky stuff that we want to know about all of the details on the ship. Let's hear the story. Why don't you tell the story? You were getting off the ship and suddenly Cupid arrives. I don't know. Tell me.
So I'll give a little bit behind the scenes that obviously I didn't know at the time, but like have come to find out. But apparently my husband now was trying to figure out who was on the boat because obviously he's going on, but he wants to know who's on the boat. So he apparently paddleboarded like to try to figure out who was on this boat. Well, we were filming aerial shots for them to do like, you know, what you see when they're doing, you know, like cutaway shots of like the boat sitting in the water or coming in and different things like that. So we would come into port and then we would go out and then like a helicopter would land on the boat and then we would come in and then go out. So we must have done this like 5 or 6 times, which they told us ahead of time, like, you're going to be on here for a little bit longer than normal because we need to get these shots. So I guess he had paddleboarded for like 3 hours trying to figure out who was on this boat. And after we were just not basically getting off, he was like, screw this, I'm not going to do this anymore. And then we were finally getting off and I think he saw, I don't know, obviously the ins and outs of all this, but I think he saw. And so there's only one resort on the island we were on, one resort.
What island were you on?
Abacos on the Bahamas.
Okay.
So one pool bar. So he basically went around the resort to make sure that he could walk by us as we were walking this way to see who was on the boat. And he said, I hope you got the boat warmed up for us as he walked by.
He was a part of the next charter group that was coming on.
The next charter group. Yeah. So he said that, walked by. And like, so once again, little did I know, we went to the pool bar, there's only one. Little did I know he walked by us, grabbed his group and was like, we're going wherever they're going. And so sat across from us at the pool bar. And, you know, we kind of like did the eye thing for like probably 30 minutes. And then finally the whole group came around to talk to us. But what's really funny about the story is I was attracted to him like immediately. So he introduced his group, and I always give him stuff for this because the way he introduced his group, his dad's girlfriend, he said something along the lines of the girlfriend or something like that, where I thought it was his girlfriend. And I literally just turned around at the pool bar because I was like, well, you're not single. This conversation is pointless.
Well, she looks young. I mean, she does look really young. I don't know how old.
Like, I'm not, there's no reason for me to talk to you anymore. So, and then I don't know if he obviously was like, well, she's not interested. But then I heard something else like 15, 20 minutes later that related to his dad. And I turned back around and I said, like, hold on, like, I don't know how I made him specify, but he's like, oh, that's my dad's girlfriend. And I was like, hello.
Hello there.
How are you doing today? Let's catch this conversation back up.
Well, am I allowed to say that your husband's pretty hot?
Yeah, right.
I mean, I think my husband's pretty hot.
I don't want you to like get mad at me, but you know, he's an attractive man.
Well, thank you. I appreciate
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we talked, we split up for like an hour or two where like his group, my group, we had dinner, met back up at the pool bar, the one pool bar. And we must have talked until 1 or 2 in the morning. And then the next day was Valentine's Day, which was my day to fly out, his day to basically get going on the boat. And he came and met me and like said goodbye. He actually asked me to stay and go on his charter. And my group was like, you were not doing that. You were coming home with us. You came with us. You're coming home with us. So he filmed his episode, flew back to Indiana where he's from, packed his bags and flew out to California to see me the moment he was done filming.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
And that's it. It was game over from there.
Yeah. So we spent that weekend together. It was like 3 days. He met my parents that weekend. The next weekend we met each other in Chicago because he had work out there. The next weekend we met in Vegas because he had something out there. And then he was gone on some international trips for a month. And we talked the whole time. And then he packed his bags and moved to California. And we've lived together ever since. So I always tell people, I'm like, I could have dated a serial killer for all I know, because we literally saw each other in person.
Right.
7 days and have lived together ever since. So it's either a fairy tale story or I could have been murdered. There was no in between.
No, that is fantastic.
So refreshing. I
I
love
think
it.
safe
Good
to
to hear.
say that it's been a fairy tale and not a serial killer.
Yeah.
I
I'm
mean,
still
I guess
alive.
there's
doing
still
well.
time, but you know, that is such a great story. And where did he live in you were living in LA. Where did he live at the time?
He lived in Indiana. So he literally moved across the country. Like literally when everybody says, you know, where are you from? He says Indiana. And he's like, so what brought you to California? And he's like, this one. This is what brought me to California.
And you just moved. Are you still in California or?
We're in California for like 1 more week. We're like, I'm on a mattress right now. There's no more bed. So we have like 1 more week and then we're going to be in Arizona.
Oh,
Nice.
okay. Okay. Where in Arizona do you?
Phoenix. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Nice. Nice. That is such a great story. And I love it. I mean, too, because you just never know, right? Like you just never know when you're going to meet the person that's going to end up being that person for you. And then we see you guys together later on the med season.
Which I watched that episode today because
I
I
did too.
I
yeah.
like to go chronologically in order when I watch anything. But of course, like we were interviewing, I'm like, I have to watch her episode.
Yeah, I just
I'm
got to skip
watching
out
it. I'm like,
order.
I have no idea who any of these people are. Then I see Ben. I'm like, yes, I love Ben. I have kind of a crush on him.
Yes.
And I was like, then we were talking about in our last episode, Katrina, espresso martinis. And so it was really funny that when I watched this episode, I was like, oh yeah, he's showing her how to make it.
Yes. And then there's just so much. But okay, let's start going
But
back.
not thinking, I'm sorry, my mind is just
Oh,
going.
you're
I want to start chronologically because let's go back to season 3 was the Leon season. So we had Leon as the chef, and we had Kate as the chief stew. And was Eddie the bosun on that one?
Yes.
Eddie was still there. Okay. So that season was actually one of my like dream team crews. Like I liked the way everybody interacted with each other. You guys come on and you get Leon. Okay, so what is your like impression of the boat? Like tell me like talk me through your experience going on the boat.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was super nervous because I've done acting, before this, I had done one reality show, but it was kind of scripted. So it wasn't like you didn't know what was going to happen. Like I literally played somebody's girlfriend who I was like never met in my entire life. So like I knew kind of what was going on, but like this, you literally sign a contract, like they can do whatever they want because it's a reality show, you know, and they want ratings. And so there's part of you that's like, am I going to be like made to be this like villain or like, you know, you just
don't know what the edit. Yeah.
You like my thoughts of like signing the contract was like, they're going to splice my words together and put it to the back of my head to make me say something I didn't do, you know, like that's like the things that like run through your head as you're like getting ready for this. So I and Damon's wife, Laura, who's on the first season, we were like shaking as they were like putting mics on, because I think both of us were like, we don't want to do this anymore. Like, what did we get ourselves into? But I think after the first day or night, I guess whatever you want to put it, you calm down a little bit. And it honestly, like, I know now why reality TV people, it's like they just seem so normal, because you kind of forget that you're being filmed and there's like a mic person right next to you the entire time. Like, you just, I think after the first 24 hours, it becomes something so normal that you just don't even think about it.
Did they tell you in advance, like, what to expect, or what did they tell you, if anything, in advance? So you're like, you're going on a normal charter, but it's not normal. You know, you're being filmed.
Yeah. So you have, like, with the casting process, or at least I did, I'm assuming everybody else did too, where you fill out like certain wants, food preferences, things like that. And that's kind of, I'm assuming what you're thinking you're expecting, because you're filling that out. But besides that, they don't tell you much. I think because they want you to feel it out for yourselves. You have to figure, it's like they want initial reactions. If they tell you you're going to walk on and get this and this, then they're not going to get the actual reaction out of everybody. So they were pretty like hands off, besides, you know, if they needed something specific for filming. So for example, you kind of see like when people walk on and then they're like standing like this, and then the crew is standing across from them. Well, they're telling us to stand like that, but they're not telling you what to do. You know, they just need that for like filming purposes.
Okay.
So I think honestly, besides the standing thing when we first got on, and then telling you how kind of to stand or something like that with getting off in the tip, they were very much not getting involved in the filming.
You mentioned the tip right there. I have always assumed that big production of handing the envelope, and well, there was a few things that needed to be worked on. I always assumed that was a producer, like, we're requiring you to do that. It doesn't strike me as something that would normally happen on a high-end charter yacht.
Well, you do tip on high-end charter yachts, but
right.
It's most of the time the people you're knowing what to expect. Like if you're renting out $150,000 charter yacht, you know, you're paying, you know, 30, 40,000. Like it's not a question of it, where I feel like they give you guidelines, because they're not going to have somebody come on and then be like, here's $5,000. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So they don't tell you what to tip at all. It's just more of a guideline, because they obviously, once again, it's a show and it has to be realistic. So if you couldn't pay that amount of tip on a regular yacht, they're not going to let you pay it here. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Kind of?
Yeah. So it's like they know I mean, the differences between this kind of charter versus like a normal one that's not filmed for below deck. It sounds like, you know, that you've clearly been on them before and things. Were there a lot of other differences other than, you know, a camera crew? But can you talk a little bit about the differences between maybe a non-film shot?
Honestly, they make it exactly like how it would be. You know, you have your crew and preferences, and the only difference is there that we had in our first episode is if you have a concern about something going on, then they want you to voice that concern. So the only time producers ever stepped in with us once was we were upset with the dinner, or not upset. We didn't think it was like incredible. And so the producers obviously can hear everything that you're saying with the mics, and they kind of came up and was like, if you're upset, we really think that you should ask to speak to the chef.
Of course they said that.
Well, yeah, of course. But also it's true. If you think about it, like they don't want you to sit here and you're hating your meal and then you're, you know, just sitting here quiet about it. So that was the only time that producers ever told us anything of what.
Okay. That's really good. I love hearing that. I really, really love hearing that. you know, we like to think Below Deck is a little more real. Now, I come from originally, my coverage was in the 90 Day Fiance.
Oh, I
era.
love that show.
My gosh, like that's
Lauren
what
and I are friends now on Instagram, just from talking on Instagram, and I like adore her. Like
Wait,
I
who-
literally
That's awesome.
wrote her to say I adore her, and now we just talk all the time because we're both moms.
Oh, oh,
There's a huge difference though from TLC to Bravo, and like I've loved TLC shows forever, but I
yeah.
just haven't watched Bravo shows. I don't know why. And now that I'm into Below Deck, I'm like, forget TLC. Even though I
She's
was
not
on
a-
a single life, I don't even care. Like I just want to like.
And
watch
then Scandal happened, and everybody watches Bravo now.
Oh yeah, yeah. I used to watch Vanderpump Rules, and I haven't watched like the new iterations, and I'm not sure how I feel about them because I liked so much the original people, and they've got this new people. I don't know. But funny story. So I went to rehab in LA, you know, as one does. And this one place where I went to AA meetings all the time is like across the street from Sir. So like, and then there's like a parking lot next to Sir, like in the back of Sir, and sometimes our druggy buggy would park there because that's what we called it. The big white van, the 15 passenger van that would take us to the AA meeting from our house up in the hills. But yeah, like in some of these early episodes of Vanderpump Rules, there's like a white druggy buggy in the parking lot. Like when they're sitting in the back smoking, you know, in the back and stuff, you can sometimes see our druggy buggy there because
That's hilarious.
yeah, so because there's
So
a
you
place
both
called
are from California.
I am from California. Yeah, I'm from
Yeah.
Northern California, but
Oh, okay.
and then I went to school in San Diego, and I've spent a lot of time in LA. My family, I have family there and stuff, so California is home to me. But anyway, let's get back to the boat because there's so much. So the first meal, so you have Leon cooking. Now tell me about your first meal because the Leon storyline is such a huge storyline in that first part of the season. And you guys were like, I remember watching it and going, oh, it was this episode.
Yeah. Question.
Dinner and Leon. What did he serve you? Okay, you sit down for dinner. Tell me everything. Everything.
I don't remember like that meal like off the top of my head, besides I think it was lamb or beef cheeks, because
Of course, beef cheeks. Of course,
beef cheeks.
And so I can't speak for everybody else, but for me, I was thinking, I literally wrote you my meal plan because I was at that point like 3 weeks away from competing in a bodybuilding competition.
Oh, so you're like
strict.
very
That's why
strict
I
in your
talked to
cut.
him in the beginning. I said, like, you know, I don't, obviously, once again, I don't remember, but I know there's a specific scene of me saying, like, I eat very healthy. You know, and I didn't even ask me, what do you normally eat? And I'm like, chicken, asparagus, no oils, like this, that. And so when they sat down the meal, I was just thinking, this is nothing that's on my plan. And my coach is going to kill me. So, but once again, I'm not the main charter person. So it's not my thing to be voicing every single concern and saying, you know, this is like, I also think because it is a reality show, there was a part of me that was like, I'm not going to be the one to say something. You're out of your mind. You guys. So yeah, so that was the big thing. My Laura, who is Damon's wife, I remember her saying, like, I don't want to eat this. And Dan and Ildiko were very like, this, I don't care for this. That's not what I want. So obviously they were the ones that said something to him in the end. But I remember Laura, and I was like, this is why we get along, Laura, is she was like, I would be really good with just like a chicken quesadilla. Which shows you like how much like she did not want to eat this, you know? So yeah, besides that, I don't really remember much. I just remember every meal that was sat in front of us. I was like, you did not read, you know, you literally got my papers and you threw them in the trash because you didn't care what I said I could have. And I think I even messaged my coach at one point and I was like, look, I am not eating what I'm supposed to be eating. So we're going to figure this out when I get back.
So they bring Leon out, right? This was the meal they bring him out.
Yeah.
You'd met Leon and seen him other times. Does he have the same sort of persona in person that you see on TV? Yeah, this aggressively arrogant.
Well, and here's the thing. I think if you're that good of a chef, if you don't know something, you should ask, right? So like one of the things, and this wasn't even just me, Dan and Damon, and I think actually all the men they knew that I was on this. Laura had said, because I was on it, she wanted to eat that with me. So I think when we did that talk with Leon and me in the galley, I think she had even said, I'll eat what she's eating. Cause it was kind of like one of those things, like I'll get more fit because I'm eating.
Right.
And all the guys had even said, well, we want protein shakes, like whether it's a snack, I don't remember if it's breakfast, but we want protein shakes. And he got like
the Boost, geriatric Boost containers, not even like a good protein powder.
No, ask somebody like, what protein, is there a certain protein you prefer? Do you need whey? Do you need, and I know that not everybody knows these things, but if you don't know, then it just makes sense to me that you would ask. And like with what I'm on, I have to count, or I don't do this anymore at all. But like when I was on it, you have to count like every carb because
every single one
look a certain way on stage and you only have so much time to do it. And I just remember being like, I'm not placing this competition. Like literally as we're on the boat, I'm like, it's not going to happen. This is literally setting me back and I'm just going to have to deal with it.
The protein shake thing blew me away because I drink protein shakes every day and I do a lot of research on them. I kind of consider myself a gym rat, but nowhere in the frame of reference of like what you were doing, right? But I'm kind of particular about that, right? I take my protein shake and I have my amino acid supplements that I add to it and you know, whatever, and the other stuff for my gut health. I get very particular about it. You know, and I feel like that's one of those things where like a Boost protein shake for old people who are diabetic is not going to give me what I need. Now, I guess I would have to bring my own, but you shouldn't have to do that on a luxury yacht, right?
Yeah, and it should be one of those things where and I'm sure once again they're not given everything. Like I'm sure he's not getting our information the week before we get on, but at the same time, I would have rather him say, I tried to find you protein on this island, but this is what I found. If he would have said something like that, I'd be like, makes more sense.
Right.
But the fact that he was just like, oh yeah, I got this. I got you protein. It was on your thing. I got this. And we were like,
that's not going to cut it. No.
Yeah, Katrina, you and I were both laughing. Like, what is that? Like, what?
At the very least, like, you know, the first sentence out of his mouth when he met you guys was, "Hey, you guys like protein shakes? Is there a specific kind of protein powder? What do you like in it?" Like, I feel like Ben would have done that. And then, you know,
you literally have these perfectly fit, in shape bodybuilders coming on board.
Literal bodybuilders.
Number one, right? Like literally, that's like number one is what are they eating, right? Like.
And I think the other like misconception is I feel like there's two kinds of people that go on Below Deck. Like I think they're those people who go on because they want to show off and they want to be over the top to like kind of get screen time. And like Dan and Damon, they're not like that. Like, let's be honest. Like, I'm sure not everybody in the world knows who Tap Out is, but the people who know who Tap Out is know that they're a big deal. Like in that realm. So they've done so much TV and interviews and everything like that. So for them, this was just like a fun thing that they got to do and be offered. And so I almost feel like Leon was trying to like put on this show. But Dan and Damon are so humble that it didn't impress them because they've been around like huge names in industry actor, like it's not just MMA, like they've been done all these extensive things, been in movies, all kinds of stuff. So I think to them that we just wanted to feel normal. And I feel like besides I think I liked season 3 better than Mediterranean because the crew talked to us like we were normal, and it wasn't like, you're the staff, we're the guests, you need to bow at our feet. Like, it wasn't anything like that. It felt like I could sit at the bar and talk to Kate and we were friends. It just so happened that she was serving me a drink
well, that's what I was going to ask about Kate, because I love Kate. I love watching her and all the scenes. She's no bullshit. She just gets to the point, and she's also very good at interacting with the guests, and I absolutely loved watching her. How is your relationship with her? Is she just as cool in real life as she is as we see on TV?
Completely. So I think she's that, like, so the way I like to put it is, I think if you are kind of an a-hole, then Below Deck is going to portray you as kind of an a-hole, you know? And if you are a nice person, then you're going to be portrayed as a nice person. And I feel like, you know, who we were in person is what they portrayed. And so I think they very much obviously played on to the cast drama during that time, because it's not like tons of drama, which is fine with me.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I remember watching it and going, you didn't get very much screen time at all during that episode. It was very, very Leon drama, all of the cast story based.
Rocky and Eddie too.
How was Rocky in real life?
Tell us everything.
Tell
us all about the crew.
Yeah, so I don't really keep in touch with her, I guess you could say. So
Rocky.
Amy Jo, am I going mind blank on names?
No, Amy Jo, yeah.
So I have her on Facebook. Kate I have on Facebook. Kate and I don't, I mean, Kate's still like a big celebrity in the Bravo world, so we don't like talk all the time, but Amy's messaged me plenty of times. And I have Tiffany from Below Deck Med. But Rocky, we had a premiere for the episode that my husband was in, as well as his dad did it. And Rocky came to the premiere.
Oh, did she?
And she was just as she is on the show. Like, that's Rocky to a T. It's not like I don't get along with her. Like, I think she's nice, and I think that she's you know, a good person at heart, but I think I am a very low key energy. So I can only do high key energy for so many hours, because I'm just not, like, I always like to tell people, like, I'm not a cheerleader. Like, I'm not that type of person. Like, so
I was reading an article on you, and you said you were an introvert in one of your interviews.
Completely. I've gotten better over the past like 2-3 years, but when my husband first met me, even though I've done like acting and all these different things, if we went to a party, I would be that person that would hang out in the corner until I was introduced to somebody. Like, I was never that person that's going to be like, hi, I'm Pamela, nice to meet you, tell me all about your life. Like, that's just not who I am. So I've definitely gotten better, but yeah, that's not me.
Yeah, like the cast drama, like, I guess I want to know, like, people were saying like Rocky turned a certain way when the cameras came on, like when she was around the cameras, like she turned on an energy.
I mean, what I saw at the premiere, she was the exact same, unless once again she was turning it on because she was in front of us all. But yeah, I mean, I didn't see that. And same thing with Kate. Like, I feel like I'm not exactly like Kate by any means, but I think we got along because I can respect like, I'm here to work and I'm going to get my job done. And if you don't get your job done, then I'm going to have an attitude with you. Cause I feel like that's, like, even in school, it was like, I don't want to do group projects because I don't want to depend on this person. Like, that was always my attitude. I was like, I'd rather do it myself because it's going to be done right. You know, that was my attitude.
Yes.
Growing up in school. So I think her and I got along because of that. And Amy's just like sweet. Like, she's just this thing you'll ever meet. So we got along. And then all the guys on the boat thought Eddie had a crush on me. So
Well,
Well, you know, Eddie is local to me and kind of Katrina.
Yeah.
Baltimore, Maryland. Maybe
Yeah,
I'll slide into his DMs too. Be like,
right in that Inner Harbor right there.
yeah.
Is Kate as good at her job as she's portrayed?
Completely.
Just made that charter amazing.
Yeah, I think
service.
there was nothing that I think after we got off the boat, we said we should have requested to do more, but that was on us. Like we didn't to do more, but like everything that was on the boat, like there was nothing I could point out to be like, Kate should have done this better. And like, I thought that they worked their butts off to, you know, and obviously then you see the stuff behind the scenes that you have no clue what's going on. And you're like, they really worked their butts off because, you know, she's coming out to us having an amazing attitude, then going back to fight with the chef saying this is not what they wanted, then coming back out to be like, oh, is there anything I can do for you? Are you guys okay? You know, like I couldn't do that by any means. I'm that person that like shows what's going on like right on my face. So I think that alone shows the professionalism because most people can't do that at the end of the day. They would show and be in a bad mood and treat people exactly what they're feeling, you know?
Well, when sorry.
Okay. No, you go.
Well, when you watched the episode back, was there anything that surprised you as far as we're on the same page, Katrina?
That was going to be the question.
Because I know, again, you know, with reality TV, of course, you get to see the other perspective of the crew.
Yeah.
So you get to see what they say. What was there anything that was just like, oh, that was mean that they said that about us, or just wow, I didn't know that was happening. Besides,
no, I mean, I thought it was hilarious that like Kate had a huge, like, well, not a huge crush, but like she thought Dan was super hot.
Oh, we think so too. We agree. We 100% agree.
And then when my husband got on, you know, they're looking at all the pictures, and then the one that they was like Ryan Gosling, and they're like, oh no, he's not like Ryan. Like that was hilarious to me. But besides that, I mean, I just thought it was, I think we all kind of thought it was funny because all the guys, and once again, I don't know, this is allegedly, but all the guys thought Eddie had a crush on me. And so, or like would like there was one night we got dropped off so Dan and Ildiko could get the massages. So they set up like a fire pit barbecue kind of thing for us. You don't see that, but that's like what they did. And he would like come around and talk to me. So all the guys were like, oh, he's totally into you. And I'm single, you know, so of course they're like, he's into you. And then you see the episode and you're like, if you were, you're sleeping with somebody else in the other room. Like, what about not that we were talking like that at all, but it's like those things you think of where you're like, excuse me, sir, that's not how life works if this is the case, because nobody wants all that.
Yeah, that was gonna be my question was, you know, what were your thoughts when you watched the episode, and was there anything that surprised you?
I mean, I think I've never worked on a yacht, but I would think if you are going to hook up with somebody, you do it off the boat. You don't do it off the boat, you know? And maybe that's my level of professionalism, but I just think that's something where work is work. And technically the boat is still your work, even if you're sleeping or off the clock. And if you guys were into each other, then you wait until you have your day off excursion and then sneak away, you know? But if I was Captain Lee and Kate and all of them, I think I would be pissed too, you know? Because it's like, what you're supposed to be sleeping, eating, or working. That's literally your job. Even the normal people on a yacht, that is your job. That's why you make so much money is because you don't have that much free time, but you're also not spending any money because you're getting, you know, all your food and accommodations paid for. So I think that was my biggest thing was just like,
so they disrespected the boat.
And the crew to me too, because it's like, no offense, but like if I was doing laundry and I found out you slept together on top of there, I'd be like, what the heck, man? Nobody else wants to touch that. You know, I'm going to sanitize this whole thing because we don't want to. If this was our house and we did it on our laundry machine, that's different. But like, I don't touch your things. So
I have a question about production. Did they stay on the boat with you guys, or did they leave like at the end of every night?
No, yeah. So, well, they have crews that like switch on and off because obviously you can't work people like, you know, all day long. Because from the moment you wake up till the moment you go to bed, you're being filmed, mic'd, all that. Like you literally have to tell them, I'm going to bed to get your mic taken off. or like potentially if you're like, I need to go to the bathroom, so you're going to turn this mic off. Like you literally have to like say something. But I would see at times where they have like the smaller boat drop
the tender, yeah.
The tender, and then change up. See, you guys know Below Deck better than I do. I don't even have the lingo anymore. That's how long.
Well, we've also been obsessed with it, and so we cover it on our show. So so yeah, do they sleep with you? Like, I mean, do they sleep on the boat, I guess?
I don't think so. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think they sleep, production sleeps where the guests are sleeping at the same hotel.
Okay, so that would make sense. Like they would sleep during the day, come out.
And producers have to go talk to them, so they need people there, so it does make sense when you think about it of that they have people on the same premise. And I know that when my husband and I met and we're talking at the pool bar, there were times during the night that like Kate got off and came to the pool bar and ordered something, and like a producer, Eddie, came at one point. I think maybe Rocky did too. But I remember because producers kind of came up and they were like, you guys can't talk to each other because my husband's group hasn't gotten on the boat and they don't want the crew to know anything about his group before they get on. So
yeah,
there was, because I think at one point it might have been Kate, because obviously she's awesome. And so I was like, hey, this is Kate. Like she's the, chief stew, whatever. And if I remember right, once again, long time ago, had a lot of pina coladas that night. But I think a producer was like, this is a no, like we appreciate that you guys all got along, but we can't let them we can't mess up their experience because them knowing basically too much about them and them too much about the crew. So
that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Before we move to the Mediterranean, tell me about Captain Lee.
You read my mind. That was my mind. I love Captain Lee.
Lexi awesome. And I share a brain, so
yeah, he's totally awesome. What you see is totally him. He's super nice guy. Like I feel like he's that grandpa, that like everybody wants, because I feel like he'd be that grandpa who's gonna like make sure he disciplines you if you're acting like a fool, but also is like the sweet guy. So yeah, I same thing. I like his attitude because I feel like he'll let you have fun, but he's also no nonsense. If you're going to mess around, he's not going to put up with it. And to me, I respect that because I feel like we almost need more of that in today's day and age.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. So let's fast forward to Below Deck Mediterranean. Now, this is the first season of the Below Deck Mediterranean spinoff. So they had a few people that we already knew, right? So they put Ben over there. And who else did they put over there
that was the only one?
Was that the only one? Yeah. Okay. And whatever captain that is, they did away with him and brought Captain Sandy in after that. But so this is the first season of this. Tell me how that came to be. There on this one, I think was interesting. There's only the 4 of you, 2 couples, versus like 6.
I can tell you how that happened.
Yes.
So my husband and I were in Vegas for Olympia. It's another big bodybuilding thing because I had a couple of magazine shoots that weekend. And I remember I was actually on a shoot and we get a call. And it's my husband's dad. And they said, we just got a call from Below Deck and somebody canceled last minute, or basically something happened. And they want to know if we can be in Greece in 3 days.
Oh, that's a call I want to get. Yes, I can be there in 3 days.
So it was the same kind of thing. It was like, so are you guys free next week? And we like looked at our calendar, same thing. It's like, I have a magazine shoot on Wednesday. Nope, I'm free. Can totally. Yeah, that sounds perfect. I've never been to Greece, want to go. So this sounds great. So yeah, so we literally, I think we packed up early from Vegas, rushed home, repacked, and then obviously the time difference just to fly over there, like literally I think by the time we repacked, got on a flight, I think we maybe had like 12 hours over there, and then it was like getting on a boat, and it was just
wow.
Was the production
My life
experience
right now.
was the production experience the same for Mediterranean as it was for the regular?
So what was interesting about Mediterranean was we were told, and I always wonder like if I'm supposed to say stuff or not. I don't want to get in trouble. Don't sue me, Bravo. But we were told not to mention that we had been on regular, and they wanted to make this two completely different shows. And basically, which I thought same thing. It was funny because to me, I'm like, we have a great story. Like this is interesting.
Yeah.
Like,
And then they referenced your previous
Right.
funny, yeah, because they did tell, like, I remember this conversation very specific because I had said like can we celebrate our anniversary, which they like totally made fun of on that, but at the same time,
we're
like
going to talk about.
we're young, we're new, we're like that's just what we're doing. And she said, you can tell them you want to celebrate your anniversary, like the producer, you can tell them you want to celebrate your anniversary, but you cannot tell them that you met because of Below Deck. You can say you met on a yacht, but I'm like, that's not interesting. Like nobody can relate to that. Nobody's gonna care if we say we met on a yacht. They're like, great for these two, you know?
Right.
So yeah, that was like
storyline though.
It's such a good storyline.
what I thought. And like that's why I say it's so funny that this is like the first time in like 8 years, twice in 1 week that I'm talking about it. But I was like, this is like, how often can you say our story? And not only that, but like meeting on two sides of the United States and then like living together a month and a half later. You know what I mean?
That's like the universe. That's the cosmic universe working there. Yeah. So there's the two couples, the two of you guys, and the thing is they're going to celebrate your 7-month dating anniversary. Now you say on the show that you guys celebrate your month anniversary every month. I know they make fun of it, and in some ways I make fun of it, but I also friggin' love it. I think it is adorable. You know what? Celebrate. You're on a yacht. Celebrate your 7-month anniversary. It was Valentine's Day and you didn't get a real Valentine's Day. Let's do it. You're on a super yacht. Why the fuck not? Right?
Exactly.
And you know what's also funny is I feel like if it wasn't for that, we would have had nothing, because like nothing was requested. Nothing was like, I think besides jet skiing. And then I think maybe doing, or we're like, we jumped off the cliff, which they show like 2 seconds of, like nothing was really done. So I feel like if it wasn't even for that, you wouldn't have even had a storyline on our thing. And I was just doing something we always do anyways. So, and it's not like crazy couples who still do it 8 years later. Like we did it for the first year and then we don't do it anymore. But you know, to me, like what a lot of people don't know too, when I first met my husband, he lied to me about his age. He's 4 years younger than me. So when I first met him, he told me, well, I asked how old he was. He asked me how old I was instead of just answering. So I told him I'm 26 and he goes, oh, I'm 25. So, you know, I'm thinking I'm dating a 25-year-old. Well, little do I know, 2 weeks later, I find out I'm dating a 22-year-old who thought I wouldn't talk to him because he was so young. So once again, going back to the Mediterranean, I'm dating a 22-year-old. Like this is kind of what young people still do, is they, you know, I'm like, he told me he loved me in 2 weeks. We moved very, very fast. We are in that puppy love stage, you know, where you want to be with each other. Well, we've like never apart, but want to be with each other 24/7. If you add that into the context, it kind of makes a little bit more sense when I'm dating a 22-year-old.
I would have never thought he was 22. Now that you say that,
yeah,
neither would I.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, okay, all right,
right.
Get you some, cougar. Like, but no, you were like 25. Like it's 27.
I gave him so much crap the year he turned 25. I was like, oh, you're finally the age that you.
That's awesome.
Finally the age you said you were. Okay, so you get onto this new boat that now at the beginning of the season they talk about, so you're on episode 5 in this season, or is it episode 6?
6, only because I just watched it. Yeah.
But at the beginning, like the stews and stuff, they're talking about kind of like how kind of old and outdated the boat is. Was that your
gaudy?
Yeah, gaudy.
So,
outdated.
I mean, once again, it's not like I get to do this all the time. So to me, I'm like, this is awesome.
It's
But
still a fantastic mega yacht.
yeah. But when we saw the boat, I think on it's either season 2 or season 3. We stopped kind of watching after that because we had a baby and you get no sleep. But I think it was season 2 or season 3, and we saw whatever it was, but we were like, man, we got gypped. The boat was like so nice, so modern, all white interior, but I mean, at the time, once again, we're 20, 26 and 22, and we were just like, this is amazing.
I mean, it's still a pretty nice yacht, right? It's still better than my craft room that's got boxes and plastic furniture in it. I mean,
it definitely, same thing. Like I think for us, we've gotten to do some really cool things in our lifetime. And so it was one of those things where we got on the boat and they were like, this is amazing. You can always look back and see what somebody else has and be like, well, there's way nicer.
Yeah.
But at the time we were like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
So, and once again, these people are on boats all the time working. So for them, they've seen what boats have and what don't. So it's easy for them to be like, this boat is awful and it needs updating. Where for somebody who doesn't get to do this all the time, or this is their one vacation a year, because there's totally people who do that, then it's going to be the best thing they've ever seen in their entire life.
Yeah. Now you didn't strike me as being high maintenance guests on the first one or this one at all. But you talked a little bit about preference sheets and stuff, and now you did that again. Did we request protein this time? The right kind of protein? What did we do?
Brought protein in baggies. Like I once again could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure because my husband was like total workout person at the time too. And I think we bought individual baggies of like 1 serving of protein in each one, and we gave them to Ben because we were like, you want protein shakes? We weren't going to deal with this again. So like, here's our protein.
Was Ben cool?
Yeah.
Super cool.
Tell us about Ben.
I seriously have a huge crush on him.
He was same thing, exactly how you see. He was totally like funny, quirky, great cook. He, to me, it was definitely one of some of the best meals we had ever eaten. And we don't get to communicate with Ben that much besides like the beginning, because other than that, it's not like you're just going down to hang out in like the galley or anything. So I probably had like the least amount of interaction with him besides the very beginning. The only thing that we had with Ben, and it's not even a negative to me in my opinion, but we at one point went down there and we had like truffle on like every meal that day, like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And so I think by the next lunch, the next day, I was like, I'm not going to be the bad guy. You need to go do it. So I sent my husband and he was like, can we like maybe not do truffle on like the next
everything?
Yeah. The next meal. And he was like, yeah, totally. It's just, I got some that were fresh, like actual truffles, not just like oil. So I was trying to, obviously give you an experience, which we totally understood. But same thing, my husband and I, we like nice things, but at the same time, once again, we're normal people. So
you just want a good protein shake.
Yeah, we appreciate you doing that. But at the same time, we just kind of want like normal food. So normal that at one point they like, I think it was Hannah, and she thought we were so weird. So we were the last ones up, and we came in and from, I think, the jacuzzi or something. And we were like, we want cereal. And she was like, okay. And she brings out this fancy smancy cereal that I've never heard of. That's like so healthy. And I was like, no.
I want Fruit Loops.
You guys eat for breakfast if you want cereal. And so we found like the little mini boxes that you buy, like they weren't going to do it at first. Like, she's like, no, like, this is what we have. And I was like, you're full of crap. This is not what you eat for breakfast. Like, I know that there's something in here. And so we finally found the little boxes and we were like, just give us some milk, give us some spoons. And I think she was just like, who are these people?
Not used to that. Tell us about Hannah.
So I liked Hannah, but I felt like she was very not personable. However, looking back on the episodes and like all the trouble Danny had been getting in before, I don't know if they were not talking as much because of what had just happened with him interacting with guests. Because we all at one point were just like, do they hate us? Like, what is happening? Like, we would try to engage in a conversation and it would just like, how is your day? Good. And like would walk away. Or do you need anything else? And we would just be like, what is going on here? You know, because once again, we don't look at ourselves like, you are the hired staff, you know, like do not talk to us.
And for those who aren't aware or may not know, like Lexi, you didn't get a chance to watch the earlier episodes. There's this whole storyline happening where Danny is getting a little too close to the guests, and they're having problems with it because he can't figure out that line between flirting and being personable and then actually like hooking up with the guests type of thing. Like he's too young to understand where that line is, so they're having a lot of problems with that. So you see that on the episode. Same question about this episode, looking at the episode back.
Yeah, so looking at the episode back, I was like, Danny was the one who talked to us the most. I remember watching it back and I'm thinking, dude, you just got in trouble for all like, and obviously once again, we don't know. Like, it's not like they're giving us the 411 that this is just what has happened and we're dealing with something. Like they can't like tell you this because they're supposed to not get you involved, obviously, in the crew dynamic. But looking back, you're watching and you're like, they literally just told you to like stop talking to guests so much. And we had a conversation with Danny. They don't air it. We had a conversation with Danny saying like, hey, how come nobody's talking? Like, how come nobody's like interacting with us? And he stands there and talks to us for 20, 30 minutes. Like, yeah, I don't know. Like, this is just my personality. Like, I like to talk to people. And so you're looking back and you're like, but you should have been the one to be like, well, we know we're the crew, you're the guest, like we're supposed to give you your space. This is your, like, you could have made up such a story that we would have been like, oh yeah, let's, you know, make that like, this is your vacation. So we want you to enjoy yourselves. We don't want to be, you know, intrude, whatever it is. Like, I feel like those people could BS their way out of probably any situation if they really wanted to.
Right.
But he doesn't. He stands there and talks to us, and I can only imagine that he finished the conversation and then the crew was just like, dude, what are you doing? You know, like, why are you standing there talking to them for 30 minutes when we have this, and this to do? So yeah, that was like the big thing looking back that I remember.
The blonde guy, Brian. The blonde deck guy who was in charge.
Oh, yes, I remember now.
Frat boy.
Yeah, I remember now.
Was he the one in SAE?
Yes.
Yeah, I was in Delta Gamma, and SAE was like I know a lot of SAE guys, but I was like,
a lot of SAE guys too.
He is something else.
Yeah, tell me about him.
I don't remember having that much interaction with him. I feel like when we did have interaction with him, it was very just professional. I do think that because we were so last minute, they could have tried to set things up for us more of like, let's, you know, it's not like we didn't have a huge preference sheet or anything like that because we found out 3 days before.
And you only had 4 people.
Yeah. And so I think in Brian's mind is like, this is an easy one. Let's get through this without having to do that much work instead of like making it this
spectacular.
Incredible. Go above and beyond. This is the least amount of work because of 4 people that we're ever going to have to do. I think it was, let's coast through this and, you know, get a break or whatever it is. I feel like that's the only thing I can really say about it. We did go snorkeling at one point. And I remember telling my husband, I was like, I'm looking at rocks. Why are we snorkeling?
Like, why are we snorkeling here?
There was no fish. There was no, like, I don't know why we're snorkeling. Like, I might as well sunbathe. I don't know. So that was like the only, I just kind of remember thinking like, you know, for it being Greece, even if you like dropped us off somewhere that we've, you know, that's super special because we don't know where we're going.
Right.
Super special saying, let's go have, like, why don't you guys have lunch here and then we'll pick you up, or go see these things and then we'll pick you up in 2 hours. Like, I don't think there was any effort put on that kind of thing. But once again, I don't know what production is. So maybe they had everything planned for these people and then we stepped in and they're like, I don't know what we're supposed to
Right. Which one was better? Because on the first one you had Chef Leon, so that's but you had Kate and Amy Jo and all that, and Captain Lee, and then Med, you're in Greece, and you have Chef Ben, and those things are great, but
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I'm obligated to say men because I had my husband on it. But like in a real, if I had like to make the perfect scenario, I would say first season regular, swap Leon for Ben, and then have my husband on it, and same guest, just add my husband.
okay.
Because I just remember us like laughing and talking and like just doing, so like at one point it was just like me, Laura, Kate, and Amy like sitting around the bar just talking, and I think that it was so much more relaxed for being upscale vacation that it just felt like, I said, you were just hanging out with a bunch of friends.
Can I make a request?
Yeah.
I would like for you guys to do that on Sailing Yacht.
Oh, are you talking to the producers that are?
Well, they obviously, Pamela obviously has connections, and her husband's father, everything. You've done OG, you've done Mediterranean. I haven't watched Down Under or Adventure yet, but I love Sailing Yacht.
See, my husband would be down for adventure because he's like the adrenaline junkie. I'm more of like can you get hurt? I don't know if that sounds so great.
Like, I want to sit on a sailboat off the coast of Santorini. That would be nice.
Yeah. So I mean, he would be like down if they called tomorrow for adventure. The sailing one, I don't know. When I see like that they're turning and then like everything's just sliding, I'm like, that doesn't look fun to me. I don't know.
But it is fun. It is. See,
I mean, I don't know. If I was on it, I would like change my mind. But just I remember watching the first few episodes, and I was just like, it doesn't quite appeal to me. But once again, I haven't been on it, so I have no clue what it's like when you're actually on board. And you don't see everything, so I'm not seeing what everybody else is seeing. But adventure would be perfectly acceptable as well. Either one, any of them will be fine. I would love to see you guys on again. They can since they made fun of us so much for like our anniversary, we can do like our 5th year vow renewal on Below.
Oh my god!
Yeah, I would watch that.
My son can be the ring bearer. He can walk down. I mean, I'm down here for it.
10/10 would watch 100%. Like I said, you guys weren't like high maintenance guests, but you were you're interested, and I gotta say, easy on the eyes to look at, right? Like all of you.
Here's what's funny is if we had to do a vow renewal on there, they would hate it because it would be like, we have to do what to set up? Like, what do we have to bring? We have to try to do an officiant. We need flat. Are you kidding me? Like, I can only imagine the crew drama that would happen if they like handed over the papers and they're like, the captain's reading it. Well, they want to do a 5th year vow renewal and they're like, 5 years, that's nothing. Why are they even doing I can hear it already.
I think it was fantastic. Now, I don't know. I was going to say, just having been on these, change your view about people like yachties who work there? Like, did this change your view? Did this educate you and be like, oh, I had no idea yachties were doing this, or, this was their lifestyle? Or
I totally didn't know what they did beforehand. So that I think I was just educated fully on, but I've told so many people, like young people, I'm like, do not go to college. Literally, if you want to make some money and like set yourself up for life, I've even told my husband and I have had this conversation, like if Aiden was ever like, I don't know what I want to do, because let's be honest, most 18-year-olds don't.
Right.
I would like, go travel the world on somebody else's dime. save all the money instead of paying for some stupid apartment and working a job that you barely make anything on. Do that for like 2 or 3 years so you really get to know yourself while saving money and seeing things that you're never going to see in your entire life, and then come back and let's use that money to like open a business or something like that. But
I love it.
think that should be everybody's thing right out of high school, because it teaches you work ethic. I mean, I started working when I was 14, so I feel like, and like multiple jobs. So I feel like work ethic has been ingrained in me my entire life. I feel like becoming a mom has been like my first relaxing time, which isn't relaxing, but like not working 24/7. So like, I think that should literally be everybody's thing right out of college, because I think there's so many beautiful things to see in the world. And when you see how other people live as well, you'll come back with a whole new appreciation of everything that you should appreciate in life. And it gives you a taste for, let's pretend if you like the finer things in life and you're working on a yacht, you are going to have that drive from there on out to be like, well, I want to be on this one day. I want to be able to afford this. Where, you know, sometimes I think it just takes seeing something for somebody to get that, you know, hunger. And what I think so many people, if you weren't brought up, like I definitely wasn't brought up this way. I hear some of the stories about my husband's upbringing that I'm just like, you did what for New Year's? Like, I think I went to bed at 8 that night, you know, because I had to work the next day, whatever. But when you don't have those things and you see it, it like sparks something in you to be like, I'm going to do better for my family or my generation or whatever. So I just think it can be an amazing setup for life that, let's be honest, most careers aren't going to give you until you've worked your way up the ladder. And most careers aren't going to give it to you where you can just save every dime.
Right.
Yeah. Without having to pay out rent and utilities and all these other things too.
Well, that's you know, I mean, that's a fantastic life advice that that I think everybody, you know, can use. So there's our life coach advice for you coming from the broadcast. It's been such fun chatting with you. Lexi, do you have anything else?
Well, I know I've been following your Noble Critters, and I'm sure you wanted to talk about that. I know you have to go, but I wanted to get that out there because I know how important it is to you, but your foundation, if you wanted to talk about that at all. Or
So Noble Critters is a nonprofit 501c3, and we basically accept in-kind donations, but we also sell apparel that if you purchase it or do an in-kind donation, we donate 100% of profits to our animal sanctuary partners. So I don't take a paycheck. We're a nonprofit, so we have a board, but they don't take a paycheck. It's literally just to give back and help the animals. So, I know a lot of people are skeptical with nonprofits nowadays because they don't know where the money is going, which is exactly why I was like, nobody's taking a paycheck, because I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with the drama. I don't want to deal with, how much money is people making. So, if you have a little soft spot for animals, every, purchase, or even sharing us, if you can't afford to purchase or don't want anything, sharing us, following us, anything like that really helps. So
awesome. And we can link that down below. It's been,
can I add one little thing really quick?
Okay.
So same thing, a lot of people won't know, especially if they only follow Bravo, but the Bravo casting directors are what were the Bravo cast. I don't think they're the same anymore. Cast me and my husband after we got engaged for a show on CMT. So like these people full circle. And then we were on a show on CMT called Bachelorette Weekend.
Okay.
And my husband and I are having our bachelor and bachelorette joint weekend on CMT. So we've literally, besides our wedding and having our baby, have had our whole relationship.
Everything has been on TV.
I'm gonna have to watch that. I saw that in your information, and I was like, wait, what is this? But now that you said it was your husband on there too, that's so cool.
Yeah. So, and what's really funny is that you'll have to watch it and then like since we DM'd, you'll have to DM me, because we talked about Bravo and how they were. This was like such an eye-opening experience of how real reality is, because we had the crew from Jersey Shore. We didn't know that at the time. And they would go and tell my husband something that wasn't quite true, and then come and tell me something that wasn't quite true, to try to get drama to happen. And none of us knew, this is how good they are. None of us knew this was happening until after we were completely done filming and we could talk to each other. And like the whole way on the flights home, like we're all talking to each other. They told you what? They told us this. What? Are you kidding? Like, and
Did it work? Did it work? Their little lies to each other, to you guys? Did it work?
Well,
Create the drama, the spark.
one of the couples that is with us is no longer married.
No. Okay, then.
Yeah. So when I tell you, like, it gave us a real taste of like how real reality is. And don't get me wrong, there was like, first of all, the girl's amazing. She's one of my best friends, so it's not her. But that when like there were other little things happening that he just kind of showed his true colors. But when I say it was a real taste of reality, it's like, oh my goodness, this is what, like, when you see other reality shows and what they're doing, because we only know below deck. We're used to what you see is what you get, and you know, all that. And it was like, nope, not anymore. And we were just like,
it started in the 90-day fiance world, and the reason we're called the Fraudcast is because we were uncovering that exact stuff. We were pulling the curtain back on,
really,
on that in the show, because it is so scripted and so like, oh, you know, these people have actually been married for 2 years already when they get married on the show, like that kind of thing. So, you know, where we're at now we've moved and we've shifted to other, you know, sort of a different focus, but it is kind of where, you know, where reality gets real. Like this is what we're trying to find out, you know, like we know you have contracts, we know there are NDAs, we know all this stuff. There's certain things that can't be talked about, and I get that. But this kind of stuff, I love hearing this. I love hearing all these little behind the scenes snippets, and that Kate is as cool as she was. And I don't know if your husband can talk about, or you can talk about your husband's experience with the grenadine and oysters, you know, like, I mean, what?
I mean, I think that it literally gives you such an appreciation for the show, knowing that like they're not doing what we experienced with the Jersey Shore crew. Because, like the fact that they have the #1 rated show on Bravo and not doing all of those things just shows what a good concept that they truly have. Because if you don't have to do all that to get, you know, the what you're getting, then that's amazing. We're like, we were on this show being like, this is wild, you know, this is, you know, I don't even know how to describe it, but just it was one of those things that makes you take a step back. How everybody says they want to be a reality star. And I think when we got off that, we're like, well, would we want to do that if like the opportunity ever presented? Because that was a lot, you know, and that was like a week worth, not even like months worth, you know. It's like you have to take a step back and like appreciate what some of these people go through. It's like great that they have fame, but like, would you really want to put up with all that? Because I don't know if I would have, you know.
So does that mean there's not going to be a Real Housewives of Phoenix?
Okay. So I'm not going to say never, because you just never know. But I was in the process of casting for another show on Bravo. Not going to say what it is because I don't even know if I'm allowed to.
Okay, fair enough.
And I was all the way, well, from what they told me, I was all the way to where producers were watching the tapes. And then I found out I was pregnant. And so it was very much kind of that thing where it's like, okay, well, you can let us know when you're no longer pregnant, and then we can like maybe get back
They didn't want pregnant Pamela. They wanted.
Well, it makes sense though when you think about it, because you know, you're not drinking, you're not probably going to go out as much, you're going to be talking about the fact that you're pregnant 24 after being pregnant. I realize that you're going to talk about the pregnancy or your symptoms the entire time. So it does make sense. And looking back, I think it was like the biggest blessing ever. But yeah, it, you know, I'll never say never. I think if the right opportunity presents itself, then I would consider, but my family comes first.
Absolutely.
So if it was ever, I think there's a lot of people who are willing to do stuff to be famous. And I'm at the point in my life where if it makes sense, then amazing. But if it's ever going to like, tear me and my husband apart, or, make something happen with my son that I don't know, I'm just throwing something out there, then would be the time to like step away. So, I'm still like doing things here and there. It's just, being on set away from my son 12, 15 hours a day, it just does not sound enjoyable. And so I pick and choose what I want to spend my time on and what I think would be worth it, like this.
No, well, we are so grateful that you chose, that you said yes to our little podcast, because like we said, we're obsessed with Below Deck, all things Below Deck, and you are just the cutest thing. Like, you're gorgeous, and your hair is gorgeous, and you don't have bad extensions or anything like that. Like some of the people that have shown up, some of those charter guests, and their extensions were not great. I'm just gonna
those were not my extensions on the first season. You might have dark hair on there, but I have brown hair, not black hair. So just throwing it out there. What went down somebody else's pants were not mine.
Oh my God, that was so funny.
No, it's funny because I have like the same extent. Well, they look like the Bellamy or whatever, like clip-ins that I have, like when I had black hair, but now I have on black hair. I was like, oh, those look like my extensions. Look at that.
I feel like I have to put that out there because there was only 2 people that it could have been, and it was not me. So say that.
The thought I had when I saw that scene, I was like, those are some expensive extensions. Like, I bet she was mad that she left him there.
Yeah.
Like, right?
I mean, I would have been. And also, like, I would have also been like, why are you putting my extensions down your pants? Like,
that's what I was like, ew, gross.
What if I asked for those back the next day and production got what I was really wondering was, did she ask for them back and then they found them and gave them to her and she didn't know until she watched it? That's what I was wondering.
I always wonder what the charter guests think about the episode when they watch it back, when they see because some of the charter guests, like you said, are just out there, right? Like, and do they realize they're being assholes? Probably not, because they're just like entitled and feel like they have all this money, they can act this way and whatever. They're on TV. They're some of them are just a little high maintenance, and I always wonder what they think if they go back and watch. And then I think, oh, they're probably like above it. They're not going to watch it because reality TV's below them. But you are on the show. I don't know.
Well, I think there's like 2 like types of people. Like I said, there's the ones who are just like, we're either, like you said, they don't care, like, oh, I have so much money, I don't care what people think about me. Or I think they want to put on a show, because there's a lot of people nowadays who do stuff to get famous. You know what I mean? So it's like, well, maybe if I do this, I'm going to be so well known that it's going to lead to something else or whatever. Where, I'm never going to pretend like I've been fortunate to do some really cool things in my lifetime. Like, I've been to the Super Bowl and like, got paid to go for something and just different things like that. And because of that, I feel like my husband and I try to instill in our son now, like, you need to be grateful for everything. And you need, like, if you ever meet our 2.5-year-old, like, he says, please, he says, thank you, bless you, all these different things, because I know that we're not super wealthy or anything, but we do well. And I want him to know that you need to be grateful. And, when he's old enough, he's going to have to do stuff to give back, or, or go to another country and like do things like that. Because if you don't have that ingrained in you, and it can be so easy to lose yourself. And I feel like I was totally, that person at one point. I'm not even going to try to pretend like I've been perfect and been polite my entire life, but it's so easy to go down the rabbit hole of thinking you deserve everything and, being selfish, not being grateful for experiences. And, at the end of the day, whoever it is, they're still, no matter how wealthy you are, you're getting to go on this show, which they don't let everybody, because if everybody did, they'd be filming 24/7, all year long. And you need to remember that. And at the end of the day, these crew are still people. And that's great if you're not happy with something, but you don't need to be a dick about it. You know, I cringe when I used to watch the episodes and people would just say like, go get me whatever. I feel like when we were on there, and Dan and Damon included, it was, can you please get me this? Like, thank you so much. And all these different things, because that's just how you should talk to another person.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. And
It's
I
so
love
refreshing to hear you say that.
I was gonna say it's really refreshing. And I loved what you said about, you know, for your son, like, hey, if you're at this age, like, go do this. Don't go to college yet. Go and do this and go serve and go clean up the shit and go serve people. Because, I mean, I'm of the firm belief, and I know Lexi is too, that everybody needs to work in the service industry at some point, right?
I did it.
I did it. You know,
Yeah.
we all did it. And then I think it's really important because it does humble you and it does keep you grounded. And you know, going on a super mega yacht and you're seeing both sides, right? Like the super, super wealthy, but then you've got these basically broke college kids, you know, that are literally cleaning up other people's vomit to get $1,000 so that they can, you know, maybe purchase a car one day, you know. And I think that that's great. I think it's a great viewpoint, and you are just a delight to watch on Below Deck. And we did get more screen time with you on Med, so that was good. And now we need you to go on. Okay, fine. Do adventure. It doesn't have to be sailing yacht. Even though like Gary and Daisy and them, like we played Fuck, Marry, Kill with all them. And so that's how we're gonna end this episode. So from your 2 seasons of the crew, you got two seasons of crew to choose from. Fuck, marry, kill.
Oh, okay. Well, I will kill Brian and Andy. We'll just go multiple. And then we'll marry Captain Lee.
Oh, that's what I said. That's what I said.
Not into girls, and I feel like he's a gentleman. And oh wait, but then I have to F somebody, and I don't really want to do that either. Oh, that's
you can
terrible.
pass.
Ben,
I know, right?
Kate. Put him in the lady
That's
pile.
a hard one.
I had a hard time.
On the show. Can't I just say that he's on the show and I want to do it with him? Doesn't that count? Don't I get a pass for that?
That's so sweet. You can do that.
There you go. Okay.
Aww.
Well, he was. See, fuck your husband, but you
I'm like thinking about even putting that in my head with somebody else, and I'm like, oh no, I don't want to do any of that with any of them.
Look, your husband was on the show, so we'll accept that as an answer. Yay! Thank you again,
Brian and Eddie.
Okay, so thank you again so much, and it sounds like you would do this in a heartbeat. If you do, you have to come back and tell us about it, and whatever else you've got going, you got to keep us posted, because we would love to follow you and whatever else you may be doing. I just want to give you another big thank you